All right, folks, so we're going to go ahead and start with ACA prep today. We're going to start with Photoshop today. Starting with Photoshop today. Jesus, let me go ahead and pop this. I'm going to put my computer in Meets also. That way that you guys can see my screen. Boom. There we go. There we go. All right. Echo. Gosh. That's terrible. Okie dokie. Present now. Yes. Your entire screen. That one. All right. All right. Let's talk about the Adobe. Let's do Adobe Exchange real fast. Hey, Seuss, have you been doing Adobe Exchange yet at all? Have you looked at Adobe Exchange yet? Do you know what it is? Okay, that's okay. You don't have to. That's totally okay. Okay, what I am going to do, I'm going to show you guys how to work with this. If you'll go to adobeexchange.com anytime you want, adobeexchange.com, and then go look up, let's see, Photoshop ACA. In the bottom, when you search, and I hate this new like layout they have going here. It makes me really sad because they had a really cool creative design to it earlier, and now it's just terrible. Oh well, wait, that's searching Adobe. I want Adobe Exchange. Go back, Adobe. Maybe it's Education Exchange. Oop, I'm echoing like crazy. Test 1 2. Test 1 2. Okay, there we go. Dang it! I screwed it all up. All right, let's start. Where did it go? Adobe Education Exchange, free courses and workshops. Okay, so when you go to free Adobe Education Exchange, you can sign in using your school email and stuff if you want. But it's easy to just go to here and just search. You don't actually have to have a to see a lot of this stuff. Some of it you may. So you just sign in using your. It's free. Just sign in using your stuff, your regular credentials, and you'll see this visual design using Adobe Photoshop. It's got all these really great, awesome things to help you get started and understand how Photoshop works. But we're actually going to look up the ACA certification. Nope. Yep. Search, my dude. Photoshop search. Oh my gosh. It doesn't want to search for me, man. Unless it already did. Oh yeah, it did. Okay. It just popped up really fast. Okay. So once you click on this, it says ACA Exam Study Guide. You can scroll down here, and it actually gives you a study guide resource for the entire test. Hasn't changed much at all, but today we're going to work through, for the next 20 minutes or so, we're going to work through the first domain and reviewing how the first domain works, what all the things you need to know about the first domain is. If you're missing this, it's also in PIT, folks. It's in your stream. Let me go ahead and start recording here so that way everybody gets a chance to look at it. All right, so all we did was we went to the Adobe Education Exchange, and then we scrolled down here to ACA Exam Study Guide, downloaded this lovely PDF. This PDF I have made available on all of your Google accounts, so you guys can find it there. If you'll scroll down, it'll show you the different domains and how to assess them and what to do during for them all. And then it breaks them down by domain. So down here in the bottom, you'll notice that the first one we start with is an overview of Adobe Photoshop. This is the first portion that you need to know. Now, I've had a buddy of mine. His name was Caleb, and he actually did all of his Adobe Exchange studying in the Education Exchange program. And all he did was go through and click on all these little links to learn about what it was Photoshop would be using or doing in the G Matrix stuff when he was going to take his test. So he did all of his stuff. He never had Photoshop on his computer. He learned all of his stuff out of this PDF and a few other Quizlets and stuff, and he still passed his exam. So it is definitely possible for you guys to do this easy peasy lemon squeeze. Okay, so this whole first portion is the first domain. Okay, as you scroll down, you'll see the other domains start to pop up. Okay, and as you scroll through this, you'll see which domain that these are for. All you have to do is scroll back up to the top and go, is this about creating a new project? Probably. Then that's probably for domain 4. So let's go ahead and check out what we need to talk about here for domain 1 today. We'll be doing domain 2 on the 16th, domain 3 and 4, because 3 is tiny, 3 and 4 on the 23rd, and domain 5 on the 30th, getting ready for, of course, the day we come back to school on May 4th. We're excited about that, yes? He's like, sure, whatever, bro. All right. Domain number uno. Let me go ahead and mute everybody here. That way that nobody can hear. Oh, he's already muted himself. Good for you, Glenn. All right. Let's start at the top. Where'd it go? There it is. Domain number 1. Let's just go ahead and scroll through this. If you want, you can go ahead and find this. I will post it. Oops, can't do that. I was about to show somebody's grades. I will post this again at the very top of everyone's stream. So this will go out to every class. This is going to go to AB2, printing and imaging, both graphic design classes. And here's your file. This is Photoshop. Let me give you Premiere as well for those of you that want to do both. I had a few people in graphic design that knew their Premiere stuff already and wanted to do it. I also had somebody in AV2 that said that they wanted to do the Photoshop one, so we will do ACA Premiere. We will post them both in there, that way that you guys know how to do both. Oh my goodness, where's it at? I can't see. Oh, there it is. ACA objectives using Premiere Pro. Download. Beautiful. Oh, come on. There we go. All right, that way that both of these are posted. Ooh, scoot that back over. And you guys can study both of them if you wish. Do both of them if you want. Bloop. All right, all 5 classes have it. Good luck. All right, let's go ahead and start with Photoshop. Overview of Photoshop. These are the things that you already know. Okay, so this is kind of a review, kind of like a little punch to your brain. So I'm going to do some presentation for the next 6 minutes, and then of course I'm going to ask some questions, and I'm going to hope these boys can answer them afterwards. Okay, so the question portion we're not going to record, we're just going to use, and then we'll go on the live stream, we'll just go flat-faced. Everything else over here will still engage. So if you guys are on the live stream, pop over to the Google Meet. Okay. Adobe Photoshop's workspace includes command menus and stuff like that. Does anybody know what the command menus are? Anybody? Command menus? Stuff up at the top. Okay. So command menus are these lovely bits at the top. Bloop. Right here. Okay. These are all command menus. Commands Photoshop what to do. So if it ever asks you about command menus, that's what those are. Okay. Uses a variety of tools and panels, editing and adding elements to your image, and it can also use third-party software and plugins to create some really cool, fun stuff. You can edit literally anything: photographs from digital camera, commercial CD digital images, scans, transparencies, negatives, graphics, documents, captured video images, artwork, the like. You also need to know what a vector image is. So a vector image is an image in its rawest format. So I'm going to define some of these as we go. A vector graphic is something that is raw. So if you want to take notes, you're more than welcome. This is a raw graphic. It is basically if I had a path, every line had a path. If I had a graphic that had lines in it, for example, a big fat circle with a line through it. Well, that circle with a line through it wouldn't just be an image. That's a flattened image. A vector image is an editable raw image that gives us the ability to move every piece of the graphic. So for example, that circle with a line through it, we would think would have a path where the circle is and a line through it. So those of you graphic designers that when we were working in Illustrator, remember when we were making paths, that was creating a vector image. Those of you that created the brain with the world and the world with the brain inside it, right? That was creating a vector image. Creating a logo that has paths that we can trace over, that's creating a vector image. Okay, so that's a raw image. Okay, you can also make drawings. You can, you can edit just about anything. Photoshop is the easiest way to create just about anything. Vector graphics, all that stuff. Illustrator, you get a little bit more specific in illustrations. InDesign, you go more towards the document era or side of things. Okay, so when you get there in Photoshop, you will see choosing a file format in the Photoshop help menu. Okay, in this guide, you're going to learn how, of course, how to make all of this work. When you open things, you need to know how to open all of these. Oops, that's going to show up on the wrong menu side. All right, there we go. You need to know how to work with new documents. Okay, so anytime it asks you, now the test is going to ask you a few things. And we talked about, hey, we were going to go over this when we hit, after spring break, but we're here and we don't have the ability to go over it in person. So I hope that you guys are here doing this, watching this lovely bit. New documents, how to do new documents. Okay, so you can use your presets. Like these are some of the recent presets that I have that I've used in the past. For example, creating some really cool images for our marching band. I've used some inches by foot by other things, regular paper, paper in different instances. So like they change landscape versus like their orientation, different types of custom images. You won't have these when you go to take your test. So you need to know how to make them from scratch. Okay, so you can either make them from scratch over here. They'll have a little box over here that says, let me minimize these so you can see that. They'll actually have a little box over here that says G matrix, and your question will be over here. Your answers will be down here. And if it's one of those where it says, hey, will you do this? And then click the check mark when you're done. Okay, all the question will be right here. The submission button will be about right here, maybe even down lower. And after you've completed everything, then you want to hit the submission button. So you click File, New. It'll say create an image for print that is 8.5 by 11. Now, assume that you don't have these. Well, we'd go over here and we can check through all of our presets that Photoshop gives us, or we can do it ourselves. And it says create an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, inches. Let's go 8.5, 8.5 by 11, which is height. Piece of paper. Let's say it asks for it to be an artboard form. You'll want to click that. Resolution, it'll give you. Color mode, most likely. If it doesn't give you any of those, you can just click on the actual color mode. Now, if it just says go and click the 8.5 by 11 print preset, then you'll go up here to print, find the letter preset, and create it. Once you've created it, go over here and click the submission button. And then, of course, it'll tell you got the right answer. That is how we create our first couple documents. That's how you create documents in general. I hope that's pretty easy. Most of you already know that stuff. Let's go ahead and continue on. Let's talk about the workspace, okay? First and foremost, we got to know where everything is. We have 5 major portions to the workspace that they're going to ask you about, okay? So they may reference these specifically. They may reference these using this terminology, so make sure that you know this terminology. So the tools panel, all right? Tools panel is right here, this guy right here. And we always double din our tools panel because we're cool, and that's just the way we are. Now, our toolbar is up here. Two different things. Tool panel, toolbar, okay? Next thing you need to know is the history panel. Let's go back over here. Let me pull this up. It always looks like 3 boxes, which are actions with a little arrow that goes up like an undo arrow. And you'll see all of the different things that I've done to this image. So let's go back up to when I opened the image. This is what it looked like. Then I kept changing it through the day. And this is what it looked like. Okay, so that's the history panel. You have to know where that is. So tool panel, history panel. We also need to know our swatches and color panel, okay? So our swatches and color panel is C, that's over here. It'll actually be expanded, so you'll see it this way. Oh, I just realized you guys see it in 8-bit over there. It's not as smooth. That's cool. So this is our color and swatches menu, okay? To add another swatch, all you got to do is come down here, add a new swatch, and it'll ask you what color you want to add. So if you're working with a specific color, just click and add one, and then create whatever color you're going to create and put it in there. The next menu, of course, is your property adjustments menu. I think they actually call this something a little bit different. Yeah, so they call this your libraries panel. Now, it's never been called this before, but it is now because it's all together. It used to not be like this. Adjustments was up here. I think it was like CS4, CS3 that they actually put all this together right here. And properties wasn't normally here. It used to just be, I believe it used to be type that used to be in this area. Okay, so here's properties and adjustment. The last portion of your panel is layers panel. You already know that. We're going to move on. Layers panel, bloop, down there. Good for us. All right, next portion of this is, and you can go through and you can check these all these guys out if you want. It's all there in your classroom stream. So go look at it real fast. So most of the stuff you already know. Let's go ahead and get stuff you guys don't know yet. Let's talk about panels that can be grouped and stacked. You know how to do that. If you don't know how to group and stack panels, there's a lot of ways to do that. You can click and drag them and place them in certain areas. Most of you already know how to do that. You can also add windows up here. Now, if the G Matrix questionnaire box says, hey, add or use the such and such window to create a this and that with that and that and that, and then you're like, wait, I don't see that window, I don't see that panel. When in doubt, always go to the window tab up at the top, your command tab, and scroll down to find that window. Most likely that window will be there. If it has a check mark by it, that means that it's already active and it's there. If it doesn't, then you can activate it. For example, I always like to have my character window on. Okay, so I'm actually going to pull in, I'm going to go and put my character window in there, and it automatically brings the paragraph window with it. Okay, now it's already there. It was already there beforehand, but if it's not, for example, if it's not clicked in and active, it won't show as active. All right, so I want you guys to see that. So even if it's in like this panel, and let's say they have like stacked you full of windows, and you're like, man, I don't know which one that is. Just go to window, click on it. That way that you can see exactly what you need to see, when you need to see it. Put that in there. There we go. All right. I hope that makes sense to everybody. Let's continue on with, what is that? Oh, that was from the assignment the other day. All right, so that's panels, application frame groups, and workspace elements. You guys already know how to create workspaces, graphic design. All you have to do is come down here, window, click on a workspace. I love Essentials Default. It's the easiest one to work with. It's the one that you guys are most used to. You can come down here and you can create a workspace for yourself that works really well. If they ask you to create a workspace with a specific couple things in it, you might have to click New Workspace, change the workspace up a bit, and then do that, all right? Remember, not all of these questions are going to be part of your ACA test. They may not even exist in your ACA test. A bunch of other questions might. But what I need to do is cover everything to make sure that you guys know about all of it. Okay, so we know about panels. We know how to open the document window, create a new document. We know how panels work, stacking and docking. We know how to, I'm pretty sure we know how to do the application frame. These are a bunch of integrated windows that kind of act as a single unit. You can resize application frames and stuff like that to not overlap. You can put them in panels if you want. You can also make them appear in certain ways or on certain places of your screen. So you might go, what the heck is an application frame? And I'm about to make everybody go, oh, application frames. Bloop. Let's say I wanted to go into, let's go into layers. Let's do it this way. It's a super easy way to do this. Let's do it this way. We'll go down here to layers. And let's say I clicked bevel and emboss. And I want to bevel and emboss that layer. That is an application frame. You can resize them if you want. You can also, some of them you can't. Some of them it's not going to work. You can also move them to open in certain places on your screen. I can also move mine over here to my other screen to make it open over there. You can do a lot of different things with those. But there's a lot of different things that we can do Yeah, you can also use application frames in a manner of, for example, if I have properties and adjustments, I'm going to take this. This is an application frame. Move away. Where I can pull this out here, and I can add properties to it. And this is an application frame. I can move this around a little bit. I can change the size of it. I can move it around. I can also make it sit in specific areas on my workspace. So for example, if I was doing something really, really, really far away and I had a lot of workspace to work with and I was like, man, I want this to look a certain way, but I want my layers panel over here so I can edit it independently while I'm also looking at how the properties or even my characters work alongside that. I can move those frames however I want. I can detach them. So the application frames in specific applications are a little bit differently, work a little bit differently than application frames for things like the effects window and swatches, your filter windows, your dialog boxes, and stuff like that. It works a little bit different. Let's pop that back in there. Oh, I think I actually put it. I think it was right here. Nope. It should be right there. There we go. Nope. There we go. All right. If you ever get screwed up and everything is all disgusting, you can always go to Workspace, Reset Essentials, and it'll always reset you back to your original. Let's continue on with the next couple of minutes, and you guys can ask questions. I know I started a little bit behind. We'll start there. Color management is in domain 2, so we're almost there. If you're using a Mac, you're a terrible person. I mean, you can. There's nothing really different aside from the command and option keys, but so everything gets a little bit screwy. But other than that, it's pretty simple. You'll also find a list of workspaces or a list of resources to help you work with workspaces, creating documents, tools, and galleries, as well as useful other tools that you might come into contact with. So, for example, if I wanted to go, man, I really don't understand workspaces the way Mr. Fitzwater just explained it. Let's click that. It will immediately take you to a really cool, not a blog, but it's kind of like a forum, and they posted here how all of these work. Okay. And usually most of these have videos that go with them, but they explain in depth, in detail, each and every portion of this screen. For example, it talks to you about using blending layers, using title bars and drop zones. Drop zones being bloop, that's a drop zone. Bloop, that's a drop zone. I hope that makes sense. I hope this has made sense. It tells you how to manipulate. I gave you the really quick version. Great thing to know if you want to go look at how to prevent accidental panel moves. Locking workspaces. All you have to do is go to, I can just explain this real fast. Go to Window, Workspace, and you can go down to, mine's not there, but usually it says Lock Workspaces, when you have an actual workspace that you've created. It might actually be in Keyboard Shortcuts and Menus. It is not. It is not. But usually it shows up right there. Usually, but sometimes we're not that lucky. But yes, go through these, guys. I challenge you to work through these just a little bit. It is really, 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 really helpful. You can also save, delete workspaces if you want. Just go to Workspace, hit delete workspace, reset them. I just showed you how to do that. Tool tips. If you need to know a tool tip, like how to use a tool, just hover over it. Tool pulls out, shows you exactly what it does. Another thing, I was just going to try to pop through these real fast. Using Photoshop with Touch Bar on MacBook Pro. We don't have Touch Bar. We don't need that. All right, cool. That's pretty much it on the first domain of Photoshop. If you have any questions, oopsies, didn't mean to pop out of that. If you have any questions, we'll look at color management, layers, selections, image basics, which is domain number 2 next week. That's next Thursday, 1. And hopefully it'll make a little bit more sense by then. Anybody have any questions on that? I'll open the forum. I'm going to go ahead and stop the stream or stop the recording. Anybody have any questions on that? Nobody in the meet room? Pedro, Glenn, Jesus? Nobody? You guys are so talkative. It's great. Is Adobe still giving Photoshop for students free? Yes, Glenn, they are. Good question. Miss what's her name? Miss Kaiser put in our application at the beginning of last week. So they're still processing a lot of those. Eventually they should have that. I would say I'm hoping by the end of next week they have something to tell us. I just emailed her yesterday about it. No idea if that's gonna happen or not, but I'm hoping, crossing my fingers and hoping. If you have the ability and want to uh, buy it for $10 a month, you're more than welcome to. If you have a computer that can handle it, you're more than welcome to. There's also, hey, let me show you guys this real fast. If you're really into it and you're like, man, I really want to try this out and I really want to get like a practice test in and I'm willing to pay for the practice test and I have a version of Adobe Photoshop. So here's the thing. You can do $10 a month. You get Adobe Photoshop, Lightroom, and all that other fun stuff. Okay, you start it this month, you end it next month, you got 10, 20 bucks. Not a big deal. It's a quick download. It's not hard. If you want me to walk you through it, I can do that. If you're really into it and you're like, man, I want to have a practice test before I start this, you can go to Gmetrics, ACA, Photoshop. Just put that in your search bar. Gmetrics, ACA, Photoshop. Come down here to where it says Gmetrics, Photoshop. You want 2018. Let me see if I can get a good. Let's get pretest, practice test. Let's do practice. I can't spell. Whatever. Practice test. There you go. All right. So, well, I guess you can still click on the same link. Just click on the that link, and it'll actually give you the ability. And I believe this is the same test. And all you have to do this is a $40 value. Okay, so if you have a working version of Photoshop, this is literally just like a plugin, just like a browser. This is a plugin. Okay, but it's a plugin to Photoshop. Okay, so all you have to do is download this. It'll install on your Photoshop easy. So you pay $50 and it's a pretest. Okay, instead of paying like 100 and something bucks for like an SAT practice test or an ACT practice test or like $250 for a book and a practice test, all you have to do is this $40. I actually have a version of this. We were working on it in printing and imaging technology, and our AVP2 guys, they were working on it in Premiere. So this is a thing. This is if you really want to, you can pop in here, you can download this license, and it gives you the ability to take a practice test. I think this license comes with like 3 different tests that you can take on, and then you can practice doing. It talks to you about smart objects, and it actually doesn't. It's not just the test. So what it gives you is it'll also give you this little bar down at the bottom. It'll say Help menu, and you click on the little icon, and it shows you and it explains to you the entire question, what a smart object is, or what a I don't know what a 3D object is, which is not on your test, by the way. How to work with workspaces, what a domain, how this works with each domain. Okay, and it actually explains each portion of it, and it's not really long or large. It's really really quick and sweet, but it explains everything in really good detail. And then of course you can answer. It'll show you the answer to the question. Then you can go on to the next piece. Okay, I hope that makes a little bit of sense. Does anybody else have any other questions before I get on? I'm gonna invite all my Premiere folks over here in a second. If not, I'm gonna go ahead and start with Premiere, and you guys are free to come and go. Premiere has a little bit of a cooler PDF. It's just not as long. Da da da. Any questions? No questions? Many questions? Where did my Premiere? There's a study guide in here somewhere. I know there is. Where'd it go? ACA. There it is. It'll take forever. Bye, everybody. Oh, I have Adobe Reader. All right. All right. We're going to start with. Oh, I already did that. Goodness me. All right, to start off with Premiere, folks. To start off with you guys, Premiere folks, this is going to be the. Oopsies, let's scoop that over. Digital video using Adobe Premiere Pro, CC. This is going to be, of course, domain number 1. This is working in the video industry, how it works, how you are going to pass this beautiful test. And you're going to do amazing on it. I'm really excited for it. Let's see if convert. No. I just need it as a PDF. Is it not working? Doesn't look like there's anything in here, man. Whoa. Don't need it, though. All right, let's go back to the original. There was a study guide in here. Oop, that's not how you spell study. Goodness me. All right, so we're going to start this off with. So if you'll see, Adobe Education Exchange is here on the screen, and Premiere, folks, this is what you need to be working towards as you head into the next little bit here, as you head towards your ACA exam. All right, you can get into Adobe Education Exchange. Just Google it. You can sign in with your school email and stuff, and usually it'll give you a free, I guess you could say, yeah, just it's a free account. You can come in here and you can check these out. Now, these are the ACA exam study guides for all of these products. Let's see. I need Adobe Premiere Pro, and there's some that say ACA objectives. Others of them say exam study guides, so on and so forth. There's a bunch of things that you can use in here to get started, especially using Premiere Pro. I'm going to actually click on this one. I think I already clicked on this before. This is the one I have open right now. Yeah, this is the one I have open right now. Yeah, and it's not letting me open this guy. Ironically, I have that application they're asking for. It's right here, but it's not opening. So we're gonna actually go over. See if I can open it this way. One more time. Let's see. Let's see if Creative Cloud will work. All apps. I need Adobe Acrobat. There it is. All right, well, while we're waiting on that, I'll take you guys through the beginning of the digital kind of video sequences that, well, the beginning of the Premiere Pro exam objectives here in domain number 1. Okay, so here, this is kind of the way that they set us up for the test. The first domain is the longest one, so that's the one that we're going to start off here with on the 9th. Domain number 2 we'll be doing on the 16th. You'll see 3 is a little bit shorter, so 3 and 4 we'll be doing on the 23rd. And then 5, publishing digital media, we will do on the 30th, as well as a little bit of a review. So if you have any questions regarding any of this, these exam objectives are actually in your Google Stream right now. You can access those at any time. If you are interested in getting a test that you can practice on, I just did this with Photoshop, folks. You can use the G-Metrics system for a pretest or a practice test. All you need to do is download a version of Premiere Pro. And then, of course, so that's, I think it's like $15 or $16 or something a month for Premiere Pro, because it also comes with a bunch of other stuff. And then the $40 for this specific software for G-Metrics plugin. And of course, you'll be, instead of paying like $200 for a SAT pretest or an ACT pretest, you know, you're saving a lot of money here, but you're also preparing yourself for that test. Okay. Let's go ahead and move on. Look at domain number 1. Okay, so let's go ahead and walk through these the way that you need to walk them, the way that you need to know them. Identify the, first and foremost, let's talk about identifying our audience. You need to be able to know who you need to be preparing this for. So let's talk about content by content basis. I actually need to open up Premiere so you guys can see this on my screen. And I'm going to stop this recording and start a new one so that you guys have the good stuff and not me sitting there trying to make that work for the first 10 minutes. All right, so look, we're going to go ahead and get started with the Premiere Pro walkthrough. I'm sorry for those of you that were already with us that are joining back again, having to listen to me say this again because the first video was terrible. But we're going to start with Premiere Pro and getting it started. And getting you started with the first domain here in the ACA exam. Let's talk about first the purposes and needs for our audience, trying to prepare images to get started, being able to make sure that you have the right sequences set up, making sure that everything is right, beautiful, pretty, and awesome. Okay, so make sure first that your content is relevant to the audience. Make sure that, of course, you have the ability to edit it well within the sequence parameters that you've given Premiere to work off of. It doesn't look like it's opening for me real fast. Gonna have to wait on it. Communicate with, of course, colleagues, clients, and everybody about the plans that you're gonna make. That's also true. There's not much in the ACA exam regarding these first 2 subsegments, so just know that. But of course, you'll have to demonstrate. The main part of this is demonstrating your knowledge of techniques for communicating about design plans with peers and clients. So it's going to talk to you a little bit about metadata and how to work with metadata. And of course, I think you'll actually have to work with metadata down here as well. There's a bunch of stuff down there about it. But it also shows you how to communicate with them using metadata. Let's go ahead and I'll just pop into assignment cuts. I don't know what assignment cuts is, but hopefully it's nice and pretty and beautiful and awesome and usable. Okay, so the next thing you're going to know is you're going to have to be able to, basically you're going to have to be able to manage your project well. Now, when they talk about managing our projects, no, it's fine. When they talk about managing our projects, they're asking us to, I'm actually going to get us another, let's do my Cheesy Poofs project that I did with all those folks. That was a fun project. If it'll load, gosh, that's a lot of data. No, it's fine. All right. So, for example, let's get this in editing mode. So when they're talking about controlling your controlling your space and controlling the things that you're doing in your project, they want to know that you know how. They want to know that you know how to manage it well. So what I mean by that is they want to make sure that you can manage also the sequence versus your project window versus your source and program windows, audio clip windows, effects windows, metadata windows, being able to move these guys around if needed, being able to clip them inside of other windows, creating new windows and placing them in the right spot. That's what they're looking for there. Okay. On top of that, you're also going to have to know about the different types of copyright permissions, licensing required, and specific content. So they'll give you like a this first whole domain is most likely a multiple choice question. They ask about, can you use pre-recorded material published by a yada yada yada, and you say no, of course not, because that would be plagiarism and copyright infringement. Okay, so a lot of this is multiple choice, and of course they'll ask you to talk about obtaining permissions. How do you do that? You can use things like Tracona, kind of the use of third-party content, how it's legal, how it's illegal, what should you do when you consider third-party content, how is something under fair use laws, how does it work, is it a commentary, a parody, yada yada. Next, they're going to ask you to demonstrate your key terminology related to digital audio video. So this is also going to be they actually will give you a multiple choice as well as a matching segment. So there's a lot of matching that goes on here about digital video terminology. What does HDTV stand for? What does HDMI stand for? What does NDTV or NDTC or NTDC stand for? They'll give you all of these little acronyms that you need to know when going forward in what does AVI stand for, H.264, MOV, .wave, what is an MP3, is it a lossless or lossy file, so on and so forth. So those terms you'll need to really know, and I'm going to show you where to get those and what's the best place to study those. Okay, demonstrate your knowledge of basic design principles, best practices employed in the video industry. So then we'll talk about, of course, our basic design principles. When using video or when putting text in the middle of a video, why is there a secondary line on the inside of the video screen that shows us a little barrier? Well, that's the 80% rule. So you're going to have to know things like that. Also, identifying general design principles like ripple editing, how to cut and edit, how to scrub edits, how to move your playhead around, what it looks like to edit something, create markers, and then of course extricate those markers. Oops, didn't want to do that. Don't know why it's doing that. Go back. Oops. And then, of course, it's going to ask you to define types of shots, give examples of those shots, yada, yada. So those shots also look like close-ups. What is a medium shot? What is a wide shot? Low, high, medium, low, medium, high, close, low, close, high, stuff like that. They're going to ask you about those as well. Most of this entire domain is going to be multiple choice. Now, where do you find the answers to those multiple choice questions? Well, I'm going to start you off at Quizlet.com because Quizlet is going to be the easiest way for you to access the most information without having to pay for obnoxious amounts of study material. If it will load, goodness gracious. ACA Premiere. There we go. Search. ACA Premiere. Go. Now, there are a few Quizlets in here that are terrible. Okay, so I wouldn't say utilize them. The first one's pretty good. I've used it. I used it at the very beginning of my own studying, and it was pretty good. Those are the ones that say teachers next to them. Those are going to be the ones that you want to look at the most. The second one is great. Okay. This one has a lot of cool, great things in it, like what is a marker? Where is the playhead? What is audio in only? What is a source monitor? How do you use grave keys? all of that other stuff. Okay, a few different shortcuts and quick tips that are in there as well. Okay, so this one is a great one to use. Down here, Dion L has another great Quizlet. I'm going to click into this one because it's got a lot of really good advanced questions in it. And I wish they gave you a list of all these so you could see them, because I don't want to click through these all. But of course, how it gives you a lot of these kind of a little bit more intricate ideas. Also allows you to see the different types of, for example, how do you import how do you import a media file? Control I. And all the other fun things. Guys, use your Google account to do these. Use your school Google account to look into these. Super easy to do that and get all this information. Use these, especially for domain 1, 2, and 4. Those will be really, really helpful for domain 1, 2, and 4. A lot of multiple choice, a lot of terms, a lot of icons and terms, a lot of really good stuff here. Use Quizlet to your advantage, all right? Use Quizlet to your advantage. It is worth it, all right? This is your second best bet, is getting this on your computer. If you want to do that, please contact me first. I'll tell you how to and what to look for. Let's see if there's anything else over here that I need to be aware of. Looks like that's going to be it. That's all I have for Premiere, folks. If you have any questions, pop into Google Meets with me and let's talk about it. Photoshop folks popped in earlier. That was a lot of... they had some good questions. If you have anything else on... Oh, Red Eyes, Dark, 13, not seeing anything on the screen. If you don't see anything on the screen... this might have been at an earlier time where I was doing something else, and I did not check it. I don't know who that is. If you do have a different name for your YouTube channel, make sure that you put your name on there. That way I can know who this is. But also, pop into Google Meets. Ask me some questions. I'll get you guys set up. Another thing I want to give you guys is, on top of all this, it is in, if you're looking for these, all of this information, where did it go? This information right here, all of this information is on your Google Classroom. It is in your stream. I posted it at the top just recently, so go ahead and find that. The last 5 minutes, I'm going to be answering some emails. I have about 15 emails waiting on me to answer them. So if you guys will get 16 emails. So give me a second to... Sorry, I had a question I needed to answer real quick. All right. Sorry, I wanted to get that answered. So I have about 15 other emails I need to go answer real fast. So I hope that you guys are doing well. I hope that this works for you guys. And if you have any questions, guys, I have 5 different ways for you to contact me. Please do. Please do. Please do. Please do. Please do. Please do. All right. I will see you guys later. Be safe.